and the WNBA, they probably knew she would be good. They didn't think she'd quite be this good.
Sure.
But it's getting to be a little bit like MJ. And I was pretty hard on the WNBA when Caitlin Clark came in. And I thought, guys, you can't open up with the New York Liberty and the Connecticut Sun. You want to groove her into some wins, because remember, she went from the Final Four into camp, into playing. And they've done a better job this year. They had an easier schedule. They've put the games on television. So the WNBA took a lot of heat.
Can you imagine a league letting its brightest star get beaten and bruised like it's the 1980s NBA? Colin Cowherd just dropped some harsh truths about the WNBA's failure to protect Caitlin Clark, and what he said will leave you questioning the league's future. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
So it's the officials, maybe the last part, it's...
Well, yeah, I wonder with it, and I don't know, I'm not educated enough on this about what the hierarchy of officiating is, but obviously the best basketball officials in the world.
And Val Ackerman, the commissioner's like, okay, we got ourselves a complete Taylor Swift in tennis shoes rock star. And they've done a much better job this year. The officiating's not great, but the league's now just starting to make real money now.
I shouldn't say the world, let's just do the US. I assume the second best are like men's college basketball.
Well, yeah.
I would imagine the third best might be women's college basketball.
Imagine this: Caitlin Clark, unstoppable on the court, drawing comparisons to legends as she lights up arenas. She's not just playing basketball, she's raising the league's profile, bringing in new fans, and sparking hope for the WNBA's next chapter. But instead of celebrating her rise, defenders are roughing her up game after game. It's like the league is stuck in the 1980s NBA, where players like Michael Jordan had to battle through aggressive, borderline dangerous physicality just to survive. And for Clark, it's more than just frustrating. It's a career at constant risk.
They flew commercial airlines a year ago.
And I think some still
The
do,
NBA moved out of that in like the 80s. So it's like,
Sure.
it's just a different ball game. But I was thinking about this.
Because up until recently, that was a far bigger industry than the WNBA. And again, I am just speculating here, but is the WNBA simply not picking from the people who are the best officials are like, well...
Most of the time, the media gets it right when it predicts an all-time star. In fact, I would argue, and I think people listening to this would push back, that we undersold Tiger.
It's no wonder Colin Cowherd, a voice who often cuts officials some slack, is stepping in to criticize what's happening. He pointed out what nobody wants to hear, but everyone can see. This isn't just tough play, it's negligence. And the numbers back it up, with 141 injuries reported out of just 179 players this season alone. Let that sink in. A professional league that can barely fill rosters is losing players to an injury crisis that's out of control. Even worse, over the past 2.5 seasons, 57 of those injuries have involved head and neck trauma. That type of physicality doesn't just sideline players, it shortens careers. Experts agree that leagues need stars to thrive, and Clark is exactly that. A player like her doesn't appear every season. She's a generational name who can grow the WNBA's influence both on the court and off.
Legendary UConn players who were then in media, and then Gino, they all kind of, in my opinion, had a bias of, man, this was supposed to be what everyone was saying about Paige Beckers a year ago.
But I think Caitlin Clark, LeBron and MJ, I think they're better. And I thought Caitlin was going to be good. But Gino Auriemma, UConn's coach, came out and said, and this guy knows basketball. He's the best recruiter in the history of the sport.
But she's not better than Breanna Stewart or Diana Taurasi. And they, if they had a transition, she will too. And the answer is, she is already one of the 4 best players in the league.
But how can she do that if she's being battered by opponents who can't guard her fairly? It's hard to watch someone so skilled and promising subjected to these conditions without proper protections from the league's leadership or officiating. Cowherd hasn't held back in saying this isn't random misfortune, but a systematic failure. Fans see it, critics see it, and deep down, you know everyone in the league office has to see it too. The WNBA has had years to learn from other leagues, yet here they are, facing the same glaring problems. And it's a simple question at this point. How can the league expect to succeed if it can't even create safe conditions for its brightest stars? Speaking of league failures, there's a bigger problem Cowherd isn't letting slide. Let's talk about that. You know what's crazier? It's not just the injuries. Cowherd isn't stopping there. He's saying the WNBA is dropping the ball in ways that go beyond player safety. Caitlin Clark's arrival wasn't a surprise. The league knew she was coming. A star so electric she could redefine what it means to watch women's basketball. Yet, instead of building a hype machine around her, they're letting one opportunity after another slip through their fingers. Cowherd says it's simple. They don't have a plan for handling a superstar, and it shows. Now think about this. WNBA referees are making as little as $180 a game, lower than their college basketball counterparts. How are you supposed to get quality officiating? The kind that can manage a player like Clark when refs are underpaid and overworked? Unsurprisingly, poor officiating doesn't just ruin the flow of games. It puts players like Clark directly in harm's way. Beyond the danger, it undercuts credibility. Fans see it, players feel it, and critics like Cowherd are calling it out. It's not a side issue, it's a glaring leadership failure. And then there's travel. This part is almost hard to believe. WNBA players are still flying commercial. Delayed flights, cramped seats, long layovers. It's not just uncomfortable, it's unprofessional. How is any player supposed to perform at their peak night after night when they're treated like amateurs when it comes to basic travel accommodations? Cowherd's comparison to the NBA is impossible to ignore. Imagine if rookie LeBron James had to deal with this. The NBA wouldn't be what it is today. Let's not forget another huge miss. Clark's exclusion from the Olympic team. That could have been the perfect global stage to showcase her talent, not just as a rising star, but as the future of this league. Instead, it's a wasted chance to amplify her name and bring attention to the WNBA. Cowherd says this isn't just petty, it's bad business. The solutions? Obvious. Better pay for refs, private travel, and a legitimate marketing strategy centered on stars like Clark. But talking about solutions only matters if the WNBA decides to listen. That might be the real question here. Colin Cowherd isn't dragging the WNBA to tear it down. Instead, he's calling for the league to take action while there's still time. His message is clear. Success isn't going to happen by accident. Protecting your stars and building around them isn't just common sense, it's survival. With Caitlin Clark, the WNBA has a chance to change its future, but only if leadership steps up. If they keep ignoring glaring issues like safety, officiating, and marketing, what's left? The league has a choice. Prioritize growth, protect its stars, and capitalize on their potential, or risk everything they've struggled so hard to build.